Good evening, and welcome to our third session of the Prophecies of Hope health segment entitled Health Bites. Last night, we studied about the 7 longevity factors that is directly related to how long a person will live. Tonight, we will be studying about a health problem known to be prevalent among persons with old age, and that is cancer. Cancer is the generic name for more than 100 diseases, wherein there is an uncontrolled production of abnormal cells. So cancer is not a word we like to hear, right? But it is currently the number 2 killer in America. So to explain cancer further, every minute in our body, 10 million cells divide in order for cell replication and cell regeneration to occur. We have this very sophisticated internal control mechanism to ensure that every one of this cell division occurs in a precise way and at just the right time. But sometimes and occasionally, something goes wrong, and this is when cancer occurs. So what are the factors that influence cancer development? First, we have here 5 factors. First is environmental factors. And under these environmental factors, we have 4 carcinogens. First is chemical carcinogens. It is when we are exposed to industrial chemicals, medications, and tobacco. Second, physical carcinogens, when we are exposed to ultraviolet rays, irritation, and tissue trauma. The third is the viral carcinogens. It is when we get oncoviruses, Epstein-Barr viruses, hepatitis B, and human papillomavirus, which is a risk factor for cervical cancer. And the last here is Helicobacter pylori, which its presence can increase the risk for gastric cancer, and in other words, stomach cancer. So the next factor here is obesity and dietary factors. Is when we are exposed to preservatives, contaminants, additives, alcohol, and nitrates. These preservatives and additives, we can find this in processed foods, such as noodles, canned goods, and all the like. The third here is genetic predisposition. Genetic predisposition happens when there is familial clustering and chromosomal aberrations. The fourth here is age. In advancing age, it is a significant risk factor for the development of cancer. The last here is our immune function. Incidence of cancer is higher in immunosuppressed and immunocompromised individuals. You are immunocompromised and you are immunosuppressed when you have these underlying diseases, such as diabetes, heart failure, heart diseases, and all of those. So now that we know the factors that influence cancer development, let us look for the signs that we need to look out for in order for us to go and seek treatment immediately. We have this mnemonic, caution us. C stands for change in bowel and bladder habits. This means that there is an irregular pattern. It's not your usual pattern of voiding and eliminating waste in your body. A stands for any sore that does not heal. U stands for unusual bleeding. T stands for thickening lump. I, indigestion. O, obvious change in wart and mole. N, nagging cough or hoarseness. And U, unexplained anemia. And S, sudden weight loss. So these signs, when you have these signs, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have cancer. It's just signs that we need to look out for. So when you have these signs and when you observe these signs occurring in your body, then you might as well check and go to the hospital for further diagnostic and laboratory tests. Some researchers estimate that in the US, a third of all cancer deaths might be caused by diet. So diet and smoking are the 2 major contributors to cancer risk. But this is good news. This is good news because cancer is mostly a preventable disease, and diet and smoking are modifiable risk factors. This means that we can still change our lifestyle and prevent diseases from happening, especially cancer. 30 to 40% of all cancers are directly linked to the foods that we eat, the exercise we get, and how well we watch our diet and our weight. So we have tips here on how to prevent and early detect cancer. First is reduce or avoid exposure to carcinogens. Earlier, I have told you about the factors that influence cancer development. And the factor that we need to avoid our exposure to carcinogens is the environmental factors, because under those are the chemical, the physical, and the viral carcinogens. So next, for us to prevent and early detect cancer, we need to eat a balanced diet. We need to reduce our dietary fat intake. Basing our diets on plant foods can reduce our risk of cancer because the fiber, minerals, vitamins, and phytochemicals in plant foods interact. They interact to provide extra cancer protection. So this interaction that they are doing is a concept that we call synergy. So it's not just one food or nutrient that protects us, but the sum of them. Foods that fight cancer are beans, berries, cruciferous vegetables. Cruciferous vegetables include broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, and bok choy, those little pechay. Dark green leafy vegetables, flaxseed, garlic, grapes, and grape juice, soy, tomatoes, and whole grains. So these are the foods that fight cancer. Next here is limit consumption of red meats and avoid processed meats. It's easy to remember. Just avoid meats that start with letter M. Manok, maka, mamoy. So kidding aside, salty or processed food can probably increase the chance of developing stomach cancer by damaging the lining of the stomach. Next tips here that to prevent early detection of cancer is limit alcohol intake and no smoking. Sounds familiar, right? It's because we have already tackled this last night. It's part of the 7 health principles of longevity. Research shows that alcohol is particularly harmful when combined with smoking. So alcohol and smoking, when ingested together, it creates a synergistic effect. So it opens your body to more health risk factors. So this diagram here shows the percent of fatal cancers related to alcohol. The esophageal cancer, mouth cancer, laryngeal cancer, and liver cancer. Yes. And the last here, we have regular exercise, adequate rest, and eliminate stressors. And I want to emphasize here the regular physical examination. We need to learn how to do breast self-examination and also testicular self-examination for men. We have to do it regularly and consistently. As what they say, consistency is the key. In simple form, to summarize everything, the recommendations we have seen today fall into 3 guidelines. First, choose mostly plant foods. Limit or avoid meat and avoid processed meat. Second, be physically active every day in any way for 30 minutes or more. And third, aim a healthy weight throughout life. And always remember, do not smoke or chew tobacco and do not drink alcohol. Now you know how to take control of your lifestyle to prevent cancer. And that's the good news about cancer. Yes, friends, all through the Bible, God makes it clear that He wants us to enjoy good health. And He has created us with mechanisms that protects us from disease. But the thing is, if we can strengthen these mechanisms, we can also weaken those mechanisms through our lifestyle. The Bible tells us in Proverbs 3:5-8, trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto your own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct thy paths. Fear the Lord, and depart from evil. It shall be health to thy navel and marrow to thy bones. Thank you for listening.